for nearly 3 decades, will be given the ultimate honor this evening at historic Richardson Field. The unveiling of a sign that will read Sam Roy Stadium will take place just prior to tonight's Scotty home game against Metcalfe County. Sam's illustrious career includes many great stories on the ball field, but his impact as a coach has changed lives forever, including Stephen Murphy, Matt Bowles, Matt Alexander, and James Happy Neal. Sam is not just a great caretaker of a historic ballpark or influential ball coach. He's a mentor to these men, and they spoke with us yesterday to talk about tonight's festivities. We're tickled to have four gentlemen in the studio today who are former Glasgow Scotty baseball players who are now living in Glasgow and contributing a great deal to the community. And we're going to have them talk about this renaming of the stadium at historic Richardson Field to Sam Roy Stadium at historic Richardson Field. And we have four players who came up through the ranks, played for Coach Royce, and played on historic Richardson Field, now Sam Roy Stadium. And I want to ask, actually, I really think that what is going to be the best question is to ask, what does that field and that stadium mean to you in your career?
For me personally, having an opportunity to play for Coach Royce the first 4 years that he was the head coach, and then being fortunate enough to coach with him for 17 years, for many years, that was almost my second home. So I spent a lot of time there, raking, mowing, pulling weeds, laying sod, you name it, we did it. So I think of about almost a 20-year period, that was a big part of my life.
And boy, did you all change the way that looked. Every single year there was a big operation to do that, but certainly the TLC that's been put into that stadium down there by Coach Royce and by the players and by parents, quite honestly, has really made a difference into building a stadium down there that people love to come and play in. Right, Stephen?
Yes, we were talking before we came on air. I think it was 1986. We laid sod to get a grass infield, and we were talking about coaches that come in to play there and how much they just rave on it and say how much they enjoy coming here, and it's one of the most unique places they'll play all year long. So you're right, people just are marvel at how unique that place is, the character it has.
One of the guys who's tall in his own right, but on the mound, even more intimidating with that mound built up there, was Matt Bowles, from the class of 91, I'm sorry, yes, from the class of 91. Yes, now, Matt has had a stellar career not only in high school, but also went on and made a great deal of impressions in the college ranks, and certainly he has a lot of memories from being down there at what we used to call the Big Park.
I feel playing there as a younger kid, you don't get the true appreciation of that place until you get older. I know when I went to college, people talked about our park, what it was like to play at our park, and then going to play at other places and seeing the mounds that aren't taken care of, and seeing the infield, the rocks, the weeds in the grass. I don't think you get a true appreciation of that place till you're done playing. And hearing coaches talk about it. I was down there a few weeks ago. I was telling them earlier, coach from Callaway come in. That's a 3-hour drive. Yeah. And he went straight to Coach Royce and just was talking about it and just said, hey, we want to come here every year and play. It's just neat. It's one of the few covered stadiums, high school stadiums, that you'll find around here. I don't know of another one. But, and people don't understand the money that goes and the time that he has put into that. It's 7 days a week. I mean, even in the fall, the winter, he's down there, doing things. People don't understand that he cleans the bathrooms at that place.
No question.
I mean, it's not just that playing surface that he takes care of. It's the whole stadium. And I know the respect that I have for it. I mean, even when I go down there and you see a piece of paper, you pick it up just out of respect.
Well, I know that, and when you hear other teams and other players from other teams saying they can't wait to play down here at Richardson, now Sam Roy Stadium, it gives you a sense of pride, even as a young high school player, for sure.
It does.
All right, Matt A., talk about your memories and talk about, this is Matt Alexander, by the way. I want to be sure and give your all's names at some point, not your nicknames in this little
Matt
interview.
A,
Right?
but Matt number 2.
Matt number 2.
Yeah, don't take any nicknames these guys might call me.
No, I know that. We're going to talk about that here in a second. Talk about your memories. You had a stellar career there as well.
Well, my first memory of Richardson Field, as you said, the big park, was when my older brother Rich would play high school ball down there. So my experiences started outside the stadium, sort of that grassy area behind where where the picnic tables are. And I can remember playing pickup games down there for a number of years, and then finally getting to the age to get to play at the big park. I absolutely love that place. I mean, you think about the uniqueness of that park that no other fields around have it. The berm in left field where the hill goes up to the fence, you don't see that in other places. The short porch in right field, which allowed Happy to hit all those home runs that he likes to claim were shots.
And it didn't have the net.
Yeah,
when
he didn't have the high net when he played. So.
Yeah, just a routine pop fly.
That was going on in there.
But ask him about the time he was supposed to help fix that net up there and he got taken up in a bucket truck. How'd that go?
Didn't go very well. I was ready to get down.
You're going to hit over it, you got to know what
I was ready to get down.
But it was a great place to play. It was a great place to spend time. And one of the things, and Sam may even talk about it. I don't know if you guys are interviewing or not, but I think the one time Sam ever got thrown out of a ball game was when they were doing construction on that field, and they had torn the dugouts down. So they were holes in the ground, and Sam gets in an argument with the umpire, and the umpire tells him that's enough. Go back to the dugout. And Sam goes, "We don't even have any dugouts." And the guy said, "You're out of here."
That was an honest statement, wasn't it?
But, great place. Enjoyed playing there many years, and enjoy going back now.
James Happy Neal, your name has come up, and James, of course, the big offensive player right there. What's your career batting average, James? Do you know?
It was high. It was high.
You did.
Up in the 500s. Put it like that. Put up in the 500s.
And so, but a lot of that 500 batting average was gained there at historic Richardson Field, now Sam Roy Stadium.
Some of it.
Talk about that. Talk about what it's like when you step up to the plate, James.
It started along me like 8th grade because first Coach Vance was coaching, then Coach Ross took over after that. So it started right then. It wasn't no grass. It just dirt infield when I first started playing down there. So then I probably spent every summer with him down there fixing that field until I got out of school, until I went off to college. So I see the place come from nothing to like just grow to a great place to play. I mean, people always like, I love going down there and play. It's, that kid get mowed and it's nice, and so it's just it feels good to have that place. There'll never be another place like it.
Didn't back when it was a dirt infield, y'all sit in the trunk of cars and hold the drag while the car would go around and drag the infield?
With Jeff Garvin.
Yeah, and little Dotson.
And I think Murph could probably, of course, if Coach Nance was here, because Coach Nance was his assistant for years and in the middle of that. But from the grass to 86, and then when you came back as assistant, 91, he took grass and put it in the infield where it looked like the turf patterns, and then that's to me is some of the neat but funny things is the changes that he does every year. From recalling when we put blacktop behind home plate with turf.
With turf, yeah.
Then we put blacktop was going to turf around the pitcher's mound, and the city called and said you got to take that out because you're going to get hurt. I mean, it didn't even get turf because I know last year I was out of town, and he called and it was something. He said, "Hey, where you're at, we're gonna blacktop the back of the plate again and turf it, and see if you come help." And I said, "Coach Royce," I said, "I don't care to help. I'll come down and help you do anything." but this is going to be the third time in my time, you said third time that we've done this. How long are you going to keep it in this time before we take this out? Because this is just money we put in to take out. But if you remember all the changes from the gravel, that it'll be the path to the home, then you cover it up, then you take this sod out and you put sod back in. But his mind is always thinking how he can make that better.
Yeah, and I think that's what's so what it's the honor that the name is going to be changed to Sam Royce Stadium, because I mean he's basically invested the amount of hours, the time down there to keep it historic, to keep it presentable, to analyze what the problems are, and you guys, having come up through the program, are a walking testament to the fact that that place down there doesn't just happen. You ignore it for a couple of weeks, and you've got, mess.
And people don't understand, from the batting cages being stolen to, I think one time they found it in a creek thinking it was for somebody's using it for fishing, and then last year it burnt, and then the speakers get stolen, the concession stands constantly being broken in.
Didn't the batter's eye get blown down out of center field one year?
Yeah.
But it's been fun. I mean, how many days we used to line up across the field and pick up rocks?
Right. Yeah.
Start on one side and
Start on one side and go across and pick up rocks.
Yes.
So another funny story here to give a modern day kid. We were down there a few weeks ago, and Jaden Franklin, whose dad, Poppy Franklin, played, and when practice is over, everybody's got a job to do. Get your rake, do this. Well, Jaden he's a sophomore, and he was kind of slacking around and just doing things. And Coach Royce said, "Jaden," he said, "what do I have to do to make you want to do something?" Jaden looked at him. He said, "Coach, this place looks like Yankee Stadium. If I worked on this, it'll look like welding." So now all Jaden does is take a rake and does the warning track. He doesn't touch anything else.
That's a great answer.
Yes, he did. It was cool for a 15-year-old kid to think of it that quick, but it is.
He's been thinking about that.
Yeah.
Well, for the years that he's been down there, and you guys have been down there coming and making a difference, and some of y'all have kids that have played for Sam on that field too, right?
I have daughters.
That's right.
She plays softball, but
I do. I had one son that played 3 years, and then he didn't play his senior year because went on to play football. And then Tanner played a couple years, but again, football. So I did. I've been very, very involved. Even to this day, I tell Tanner sits out in left field, been at every home game to just come be a part of it.
Yeah,
just
sure.
was so neat just seeing those, other high school kids sit out in the outfield. I don't think there's any other high school field you go to and see that.
No,
just supporting the
That
team.
you can set that close to the field. Most places got a.
I always think it's a great atmosphere. You get closer to the end of school, and particularly these seniors who are realizing that all this is coming to an end for them. They like for it to culminate down there at historic Richardson Field.
you talk about atmosphere. I have to go back to 1997. That particular year, we hosted the district, the region, and the semi-state or sectional. And we were fortunate enough to play in the regional final that year. And if I remember correctly, we had to open gates and block off places in foul territory to let people stand because the stands were packed, and it was packed around the ballpark. And you couldn't have asked for a better scenery for a regional championship game. And
We actually put chairs up down the foul left
That's
field
what I thought
line.
we
Bleachers.
did.
Yeah,
I mean, it
bleachers.
was absolutely packed. I don't know how many people were there that night, but it's one of my fondest coaching memories is to be a part of that game that we were fortunate enough to win and win a regional championship and go on to the Final Four that year.
Fellas, I know that Coach Royce is really appreciative of you all wanting to share a few memories right here and for be a part of this special time. And, I feel like that more and more youngsters are going to come through the program and benefit from the hard work and the effort that you all have put into this. And I thank you very much for joining us to talk about the change. It's going to happen tonight in a ceremony before tonight's Glasgow Metcalfe County baseball game at 5:45. Is that correct?
I think the ceremony's at 4:45. Game's at 5.
Okay, all right.
I got to share one more memory
Okay,
that I
I'm
get a
ready
kick out of
for it.
this. this is mid '90s, and at this particular year, we had a local teenager who was going to help clean the ballpark to kind of, because Coach Royce was still teaching at the time, and we're playing Bowling Green. I do remember that, and this student's dad comes over to Coach Royce during the game to say the light in the women's restroom's not working, and Coach Royce said, "You have to wait a minute. I got a game going here. I can't think about that. Just do what you got to do." Well, about 2 innings later, Coach Royce is going out to the pitcher's mound to talk to our pitcher. He may have been making a pitching change. Well, this gentleman follows him out halfway to the foul line to say, "You know what? That light bulb was just not twisted in all the way. That's all it was." That was hilarious.
Well, I'm sure that he appreciated the gentleman taking care of it.
And I think one of the most important things is you see us up here, and I guess us four are always kind of labeled as Royce's boys, but him as an individual, and I know he's your brother, but he was more than our coach. I think every guy up here, and I think even a lot of guys that have played for him, he runs it. We've all played college. You go in as a freshman and you're scared and you just think the coach is mean, but when you get to that respect, that he's more than just a coach. He's a friend. I mean, he's a family friend. I mean, he's been to my family's picnics, and some of the times in my life, he's one of the first people that I call. So I think that's the big thing. I mean, the park, but just that he's just more than a coach. He really is.
I think it's an honor for his legacy, for this to be the name to reflect what you all are saying.
The night I guess the city council named it, I don't think he knew.
No, he didn't know. No.
And he happened to be at my house, and I think they called Jackie, and I told Jackie, and I think it was Jackie that called, and he was sitting there, and I could, and he was like, he was excited, but yet he didn't, want to say, because that's just how he is. I mean, but yet there was a part he did a spill, and I kind of, had to say, more than you deserve this. You do deserve this, and don't act like you don't, because you do. But yet I'm thankful, and that's what I told him, that you get to see this. You get to still coach and go down and see your name on that stadium, because so many times people don't get to see something until they pass away or until they're quit coaching. And I said, this is long overdue. It's not. It's they didn't deserve. People just didn't think about it. And but to me, it's one of the prettiest 100 square yards in the city of Glasgow, if you ask me.
No question about it.
And so he does deserve it.
Thank you so much, fellas, for joining us, and we'll look forward to
Thank
Talking about
Thank
it
you for having us.
more in the future, okay?
Yes,
Always
sir.
good
Yeah.
times.